Hello and welcome back to the Spin the Rock podcast. I am your host, Angel, and with me today are my co-hosts.
I don't think I heard Eugene
Eugene?
and Vaughn.
All right, it's officially All-Star Weekend, so we kind of have just like a open discussion type episode for y'all today. But before we get into that, we do have one piece of news, which is Daniel Gafford has a knee injury and he'll be out for at least 6 weeks. But because he's a big man, it could be more. How y'all feel about this? How does this affect the Mavs?
Well, the
Who's
Mavs,
running the five?
Yeah, literally. I was just gonna say, also since I wasn't here last week, lost the trade, as we can all now see. Although Luca hasn't been doing Luca numbers, it's still pre-All-Star break or whatever, and I'm sure JJ will find a way to make a better fit for Luca in the Lakers system. But yeah, the Mavs are lost in the sauce because isn't Lively out for the year?
At least until like playoffs. Like it's months of recovery for him. So
Yeah, so and then Gafford being out for at least 6 weeks, that's not a good sign, especially post All-Star break. This is probably the worst time to get hurt like that. And then AD not necessarily knowing, what's up with him now.
Non-contact injury out of nowhere, bro.
the
My boy
first
Cash caught him in
game,
the gut. Yeah, it's crazy. Mavs are struggling even more than they were now or back then.
I don't even feel bad for them, really. Like this feels, like this could have happened and they would still have Luca on the team and it would suck. But like, in a way, this feels self-inflicted. Like Kyrie is gonna have to carry like he never has before in his career. So either he's gonna put up like historic numbers to keep his team in playoff contention, or what I expect will happen as they slip and fall, maybe even out of the play-in.
Bro, I think if that happens, Dallas is gonna get burnt down to the ground. It will literally be over for the Mavs if they fall out of plans. I think.
I was gonna
Sorry.
say I think it's expected at this point, because they're probably just gonna play small ball, and only a select few teams can play small ball. But yeah, I don't know what Jason Kidd is gonna do now, and he probably doesn't even know. So hopefully, we can at least see them play at a competitive level, at a high level.
Mm-hmm. This is, and it's like, bro, I'm so bummed about this because I wanted the Warriors to fail so badly this season, and it's just like other teams are failing more. So it's just
Right.
it sucks. All right, moving on. So today is kind of like an open discussion. I have a bunch of questions that Eugene and Vaughn haven't heard yet. It's going to be half about All-Star Weekend, half about just the NBA's future. So starting with that part, first of all, I'm sure we all know and seen the articles, the posts. Viewership is down tremendously this year. Why do y'all think that is? Why do you think views is down this year?
Well, I think first and foremost, what's kind of plaguing me too is it's so hard to want to watch the games I want to because it's all spread out through different apps, different networks. Like you need cable to watch certain games. If you have League Pass, you still have blackouts. And then if you want national games, you got to have like something that will play ABC. You got to have TNT, which means you got to have Max. If you want the ESPN, you got to have some sort of sports bundle. Like it's a lot of money if you want to watch like most, even just the national games. But even if you want to just follow your team around, that's pretty tough to do, especially if you don't live, with the team and you get them on local channels. So that's probably the number one issue, at least that I've run into. I think certain things like they're saying like the 3-point ball is ruining the game. I don't think so. It's just when bad teams with no roster to support like the 3-point shooting volume, like the Magic have one of the worst offenses in the league. And they're not fun to watch if they're slinging the three because they don't have the guys for that for the most part. And it's not fun to watch bad threes, contested threes, if you know they're just going to be bricks. So that was just a minor issue. And then another one would probably be refs at certain points. Like, I know every year it feels like I'm saying these refs are terrible. Like they've gotten worse. I don't know if that is actually factually true, but it does. They decided too many game outcomes, I would say. And that really hurts to watch, especially close games, some of the best games. And then you get them decided by ref decision, essentially. That really sucks. But that's kind of the three main points that I see.
Yeah, I think to go along with all that, because I think all of that's really good. There's no real storyline for the NBA. You know what I mean? Like it seems like maybe not every season, but for the majority, at least of our lifetimes, that there's been a story for the season. And I feel like these past seasons, especially this one, there isn't really like a main, I guess, storyline for the NBA. Now, hopefully, maybe this Luka AD trade, you know, gets, we see the viewership increase a little bit, with especially with them coming up and playing or whatever. Luka playing the Mavs later this month, but I was gonna say something else too. Fuck. You can go, Angel, if you have anything. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah, Vaughn hit all the ones I was gonna bring up. Viewership, bro. I don't think it doesn't help that not only is it like impossible to watch, we're getting Amazon now too. There's gonna be some games on Amazon Primes here soon. And the NBA and the NFL are partnering together to get rid of like these illegal streams. I don't like calling them illegal because, like, let's be honest, bro. Like, no one's actually getting in trouble for that shit. But at the same time, like, they're hunting these things down, and like we saw streamies get like shut down. We're seeing like tons of these popular streaming sites get like shut down. But it's just my whole thing is they wouldn't be around if I didn't have to have Max cable, my local channel, and then now next year Prime. That's 4 different subscriptions that will probably cost like, let's be honest, cable is expensive as hell. YouTube TV, the cheap cable is still like $80, bro.
Right.
So you're spending almost like $200 a month just to watch, if you're lucky, half of your team's games. Because the blackouts, bro, like even if you do have, and NBA TV, even if you have all 5 of those subscriptions, you're probably only going to be able to watch like maybe 40, like 50 at most, like of your team's games.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes if you're someone who lives in a state without a basketball team, like you'll have like more teams that are blacked out in your state. Like people in like Virginia, like they can't watch the Wizards. They can't watch like most of the Northeast teams. Like you're like basically, if you're in a state without a team, you're basically fucked because 3 teams see you as their market. So you can't watch like 3 NBA teams 90% of the time. I will also say a point that I would bring up is bad teams. I'm sorry, bro. I feel like there's no punishment for these bad teams in the NBA. Like the Jazz, they've been rebuilding for like almost 7 years now, bro. And they're still rebuilding. I'm pretty sure they have not stopped rebuilding. Like they're still purposely losing games and snagging up draft picks like crazy, bro.
But even then, like they're still doing it wrong. You know what I mean? Like they were almost there with Donovan Mitchell, and then they let him go, and back in
they blew it up.
Process.
Yeah, they blew it. They were good for maybe like 4 years, and then they blew it up.
Yep.
So I just feel like NBA, like we have, I think, Yeah. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bro, we have almost 12 teams under even 300, bro. And it's like, I feel like there's no punishment for these bad teams in the NBA.
Right.
And if anything, like, I don't want to say the Sixers ruined it, but I feel like ever since the Sixers trust the process, bro, people just tank like crazy. And it seems like every year now we have like 5 teams that we know for sure are just purposely losing and tanking. And that I feel bad for those fans because like this is like always the Hornets, the Wizards, and the Jazz right now have been bad for so long and are not doing anything to get better.
Mhm. But I think that comes down to like an ownership thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the players or maybe even the coaches. It's just like, just bad ownership. And then if you have a bad owner, that goes all the way down through the chain of command, so to speak. So yeah, I don't know. Either something
Right.
has to be. I don't know what would be done though.
Yeah, because like the play-in was supposed to help like these mid teams want to like push for playoff contention.
Yeah.
Like the lottery odds, like if you're worst in the league, you don't get guaranteed first round pick. You know, that's how the Pelicans got Zion. So it's like even if you do tank, you're not necessarily going to get the best pick in the draft. So just like you can't fix stupidity or mismanagement. It's just that's the way it is for some of these teams, which is unfortunate because I can't imagine being a Charlotte Hornets fan. But like I think it's just the unfortunate thing. There's just always going to be bad teams.
Yeah, I think that it's like every sport. We always see poverty teams in every sport, but it just seems like I guess too with the amount of teams that we have in the NBA, the ratio seems kind of off.
Bro, I feel like you're right. Every league does have has teams that tank. The NBA is definitely the worst out of like all the major sports,
Right, because
and
it
I
seems
feel
like
like
it's more teams tanking than not.
yeah, and I feel like it's because they just make it so easy, bro.
Mm,
Like even if you do like think about it, like the lottery and the plans were to stop that, but like we saw that year, the Mavs purposely started sitting their players because they were like, we're not gonna do the play-ins. And like the worst that happened was like a tiny fine. And I feel like we need to start stripping or do something, bro. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like it needs to be addressed just a tiny bit more.
I think the worst they can possibly do is take away picks, and they have like second round picks, like for tampering and stuff. But like I think anything more than that, I don't know. Is it really a good punishment to like take away a first round pick? Because then you're probably like banishing that team to even being a worse team, So
I
Yeah.
will say too, kind of while we were talking, another reason I guess my guess would be for low viewership is super teams. Now, obviously, we've seen super teams all throughout NBA history, but I feel like you just see it more prevalent now. And then, it just seems like there are more big threes than probably there have ever been before, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now shout out to, the 2013, 2014 Miami Heat with LeBron, Wade, and Bosch. Kind of more or less screwing that up, depending on how you view it. But, we see all these super teams, and for whatever reason, they always go to the West too. So we naturally have more better Western Conference teams than Eastern Conference teams. Now a lot of them are in bigger markets and things like that, but I feel like that also plays a slight role in the lower viewership because like the conferences aren't um at the same level, basically. You know what I mean? So I think if they were to even out a little bit, that would help. Um, shout out David Stern for vetoing all the trades that we may or may not know about too. So Adam Silver just letting everything fly.
No, for real. Well, I feel like it's not even because, like you said, Eugene, there's been super teams like all throughout NBA history, but I feel like now more than ever, teams are trying to force it,
Yeah.
and it's like, bro, I feel like we gotten some pretty bad, like quote unquote, super teams that just like been flopping left and right, like the Suns, bro,
The Suns and the Nets.
the Suns and the Nets, bro, the Suns, the Nets, the Rockets, like. All these four super teams that destroyed their future, their depth for their big three, and then they just like crumble.
Right.
And it's just like I feel like owners are just trying too hard to force like that magic we've seen with like the KD Warriors, the LeBron D Wade Heat, like all these owners are just trying to replicate that, and instead of building for the future like the Thunder did. Like the Thunder is like a perfect Thunder and Spurs are a perfect picture for how to rebuild a team and how to build a team. But instead, we have people like the Nets and the Suns who are like, give me these 3 injury prone like 30-year-old men.
I want to win now.
Yeah, and take all my role players that would help them as well. It's like, bro, it just doesn't make any sense. Like there's a new Kevin Garnett Nets player like every other season, bro. Like this year it's Paul George.
Yeah.
Paul George on the Sixers is probably the new Celtic Shaq, low key.
Okay. The thing about that is so funny is because Norman Powell is playing better this year than Paul George ever really did in a Clippers uniform, which is insane.
Yeah.
So the comparison isn't wrong. Especially okay. Like the Mavericks, also consider the Mavericks. I don't think none of us here think they're a super team either. I think Nico Harrison thinks he's building a super team and thus is destroying his franchise. Which, like, this is now going to be a franchise in 3 years. It's going to be one of the poverty teams no one wants to watch. You know, like, this is Mavericks team's not going to get those primetime games. And it sucks when the league is top heavy. And by that, I mean, like, obviously, the better your team, the more primetime games you're going to get. But then, you know, just look at history at the Hornets. How many primetime games do they get a year? Like maybe 2? It can be a lot. Yeah, if even. So it's like you're never going to get your team in the limelight, and that just doesn't feel good as a fan. Now, we have been pretty spoiled among the 3 of us. Their teams have been at least competitive or at least very popular. So I can't say I relate to those bottom teams, but
yeah, couldn't be me. I want a ship. We all have a ship. In the past, like 5 years, we all have a ring. Couldn't be us, bro. But yeah, no, I do feel like it is very top heavy. And not only that, but the good teams, like, bro, like when you look at the bad teams this year, and like right now we have, you know, the Cavs, the Celtics, and like the Thunder and like just most of the West are all like way above 500. And then like the bad teams are just atrocious. Like we have the Wizards who are still in the single digits of wins, bro. It's just like, bro, these bad teams are really bad. Like this is the type of bad team that like would go down in the history books, and we've been getting this almost every other year, bro. Like last year was the Pistons, this year is the Wizards. Like it's just like every year we get an atrociously history, like record book bad team. All right, moving on. So if y'all had to, if you were put in charge on fixing this viewership problem, what would you do to fix it?
I'd script up some kind of storyline. I don't know what, but I would. But also I feel like, bro, so they do change the All-Star game events and the game itself every year, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like they need to focus on, instead of like wanting to change it every year, I think they should focus on finding what hits and then sticking with it at least for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then, after however many X years they decide, if it doesn't stick, then move on, try and change it again. Like the All-Star game scoring. I didn't like that whole change that they did, like the quarter scoring or whatever,
Yeah.
and then the target score. Like I didn't really like that. They try and make it seem like it's competitive, but the players don't really care. Like they care, obviously. They want to win, but they don't care as much as they could. Now, how could you help that as the league? I also don't know, because that's just, you can't control how other people feel. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I don't know. I feel like, bring back the team jerseys, let them wear their team jerseys, maybe, rep their team, and just play it like a normal game. Just see what happens. Kind of bring it back to its roots, or even just talk to the players association. Be like, yo, what do y'all want? If they want anything. And then from there, kind of, be like, boom, 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 make some things happen. But I don't know. The league has got a lot to change. It's got a lot to change.
I think
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not even. I was gonna say I think I think you're right, Eugene. I think they see how badly one weekend does, or they see I guess the backlash, and they immediately like, we're done with this. Like they brought East and West back for maybe 2 seasons and immediately got rid of it, bro. Like the captainship was around for maybe 3 seasons, and they immediately got rid of it. Like this tournament thing, I doubt this tournament thing is gonna even last for more than 2 seasons if it goes as badly as it has been with competitiveness. So I think that's smart. One thing I would do to fix the viewership, bro, make NBA TV an actual one-stop pass, bro. Like I don't even care if you have to make it a little bit more expensive, but there should be no reason why NBA TV is the worst option to watch NBA games, bro. Like out of all the 5 I listed, at least Max has all the TNT games, and then you have cable, which basically has every game, and then of course, Amazon Prime apparently is gonna have a shit ton of games, but NBA TV, bro, it literally has the scraps, it does not have that many games, and the games they do have are the teams nobody wants to watch. Make it to where you're collaborating with these local channels, and you're like, hey, we'll give you, I don't know how this will work business wise, to be hey, what if you are also allowed on NBA TV? Blackouts, you're not gonna get around blackouts. It's literally multi-billion-dollar corporations being pay for our pay for our cable now.
Mm.
You'll never get around that. But there should be no reason why there's only 3 games on NBA TV. Make it a one-stop all. NHL does it pretty well because most of their games are on ESPN Plus. NHL has 90% of their games on ESPN Plus. MLB TV literally has every single game on there. MLS is on Apple TV. Every MLS game is on Apple TV. So why is it that on the NBA you need 5 subscriptions and their own subscription is the worst one out of the 5? Make the app easier to use, make it a one-stop shot. Even if you have to move NBA TV to Hulu, Amazon, it's still a better option than what you have now because MLS is only on Apple TV.
Mm.
The MLS pass is just Apple TV. So just if the NBA is yo, NBA TV from now on is on Amazon Prime, their viewership is gonna boost like crazy because now people are oh, let me cancel my other 4 and let me buy Amazon Prime so I could watch most of 95% of the games.
Right.
But instead, I don't think they'll do that because bro,
No.
I had NBA TV for half a year, and that was the worst experience of my life. The app sucks.
No, literally.
The app sucks ass. Even when it says it's on NBA TV, it's like, oh, actually, it's not. The multicast function sucks.
It's all,
And if
it's all bad.
bro, and if you get a local channel, the local channels are sometimes ass, bro. Like sometimes it sounds like the broadcasters are in like the bathroom. And like it's just like everything about the NBA TV is so ass. Make that shit better. That's my idea.
And I don't even think like they will change that anytime soon, considering they just signed a new like contract for like the TV rights and stuff.
Yeah.
So any hope of this happening is got to be when the next CBA happens in like 10 years, which does suck. I do like Eugene's idea of storylines, but I think there's enough storylines or at least events that they don't highlight enough of. I think they do too much on trying to make NBA Rivals Week a thing, because none of these rivalries, like we've said it in the past, modern day rivalries kind of don't exist. It's the NBA who wants these rivalries, and it's just never a thing.
They're also late, bro. Like they forced
Yeah.
Mavs Suns like a year after the Suns and Mavs like were both shit teams.
Right, right.
Yeah. It's like their marketing team or whoever's researching is always, like you said, behind. It's just, I think what you have now, like think of Christmas Day, even the little things, like if you had a Christmas Day jersey, or if you have a player retirement, they wear a throwback jersey to whatever that player used to wear playing back in the day, you know, like the closest thing we got was Vince Carter with like the Raptors retro jersey. If they did that more with other players, that would be a pretty nice homage. It's just little things like that. Like they could do more for like on MLK Day games, you know? It's just like they might change the graphic a little, or even the finals. Like we've been discussing or wanting like finals logo, like the older one back on the court, or a finals jersey or something, you know? They don't go 100% on that. It feels like they've regressed in certain areas, and I don't really see the excuse for that. Like they have the money.
Yeah.
I know they want these new things to pop off, but I think you're just taking too much resources away from what you could be continually building up on what your product already is, you know? But yeah, that's like, there's not much else I can think of, but I think they just squander a little too much.
Yeah, bro, like the in-season tournament, like that's such a good idea, and it could be fun, but it's like I'm pretty sure it was this season they reported they're already of thinking how to make it better, and it's like, bro, we're 2 years in, like you're already like, okay, what we can do next, like, bro, fire that entire marketing team, and like Eugene, like you and Eugene said, like make the storylines better, because they're always like a year behind, or they just ignore certain ones. Like, why aren't the Thunder getting talked about as much as the Luka Doncic Lakers trade? Because that's a great storyline. Don't get me wrong. The Luka Lakers trade, like that's a really good storyline. But at the same time, it's like the Thunder are probably one of the best teams in the NBA, if not the best team. And it's like nothing's being said about them. Not like we're not talking about how the Thunder went from literally poverty to first in the West, the hardest conference to be first in. It's like start hyping up Thunder versus Lakers now, bro. Like start hyping up stuff that will happen most likely in the next coming like months, instead of hyping it up a year after it's already happened. Like the Villanova thing, they just started doing that shit in the off season.
Right.
And it's like, and as soon as they started doing the Villanova thing, DiVincenzo got traded.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, they're always so far behind that by the time they catch up to it, the storyline's either already dead, or it just doesn't make sense anymore to push that narrative. Like they were pushing Mavs Suns for 2 seasons, bro. And it's just like, it was never the same as it was that very first season.
And I think the thing with rivalries also plays in with the refs, because, you know, if things get a little too riled up, you know, they're getting thrown a tech.
Bro,
or
they're throwing
a
tests out like
flagrant,
crazy.
right? Exactly. So it's like they don't let tempers flare too much. So I think that kind of plays a role too, because like in the NFL, it's kind of the same thing, but players are still going to talk. Players are still going to trash talk or whatever. But I feel like they're a lot more strict in the NBA and probably every other sport.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of which, amazing segue. If there was one thing you could take, one or two things you could take from another sport to add to the NBA, what would that be? Whether it's production or like Eugene would just say, like the NFL not being as strict on these players talking trash, like what would you take?
Bring fights back. Why not?
Bring
Why
fights back.
not? Why not? Let them scrap for a minute. Oh, okay. I will say, like, actually on some real stuff. So I was watching the celebrity game yesterday, and they actually had a penalty box. Now they could change the rules around that a little bit, but I think instead of players fouling out, they go to the penalty box for however long, not the whole quarter or the remainder of the quarter, but 2, 5, yeah, you know what I mean? Minutes of that quarter. And then basically, because that will change the whole strategy of the game itself. Like it changes hockey completely, you know? So then we could see it'd probably be more 5-on-4. But then, if we go to a overtime or double overtime game, we might see a 4-on-3 or a 4-on-4 game. You know what I mean? I think that would be kind of cool. Where they would set the penalty box up, I have no idea. But I did kind of like that in the celebrity game.
I just know Draymond Green is playing 10 more years, if that's the case. No foul out. Draymond is going crazy.
I do like though how you said replace a foul out though, because like if you're gonna do a penalty box, no fouling out is the thing that's gotta go, and that would be fire. Like imagine, because in hockey, you have whole like lineups that are dedicated to like being on the power play.
Yeah.
So, like imagine like boom, like okay, Draymond Green, instead of fouling out, he's in the penalty box, and now oh shit, like this is a completely different lineup being on the court now. That's like more about taking advantage of being the team being short, or like an all defensive zone 4-man lineup instead of like your starters. Like that'd be crazy, bro.
Right. And like I said, it adds a whole different dimension of strategy to the game.
Yeah.
My idea, the NBA will never do, and it's how soccer televised games have no commercials. It'd probably mean more like sponsorships on jerseys and more around the arena. But that would probably have to like completely restructure how teams like make their money and all that. But an uninterrupted product, because we already got interruptions in game between fouls or something spilling on the court or whatever. But that would just make the game feel so much faster, I think.
No, for sure.
I think it would make the commentators better too, because like they would have to fill that gap in with whatever.
Bro, there's the storylines that you can bring up, bro.
Yeah, exactly. The NBA will never do that, but that would be dope.
That would be fire. Because I think about soccer too is that the way they like you said, Vaughn, like they do on the jerseys, they also like the stadiums itself are now like built that had advertisements, and like hockey does this too, where it's like an ad on like imagine like courtside instead of like I don't know, just like random logos. It's just like courtside is like an ad here and an ad there, and like a digital billboard, like where they check in and out. It's just like a different ad, and that way, bro, like people like the Hornets can actually start getting some money instead of, or like because like also teams also cater their advertisements, so like it doesn't always have to be like Nike just all over the basketball court. That'd be fire, low key. For me, something I've noticed because I watched college football this year. I followed it for the first time, bro. The sound quality on college football is insane, bro. Like I don't know what they're doing, bro, but the way I can clearly hear the commentators and also hear how loud the stadium is
Right.
without it without it like clashing against each other. That's so nice, bro. And like not only that, but like I brought it up during NBA TV. Sometimes these local broadcasts, the sound quality is garbage. And like even TNT sometimes the sound quality can be really bad. So if like they somehow made their sound quality kind of to see what college football does, and like I want to hear the crowd more, bro. Like I know how loud those crowds can get. Like I want to be able to hear that shit a lot more.
It something like that would definitely be better, at least for the viewers at home.
Yeah.
You know, for the playoffs specifically.
Oh yeah.
I think they do kind of, you know, boost up production in the finals at least.
Yeah, they do for sure.
But yeah, I think the playoffs, because you know everybody wants to hear a nice pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like big three gets hit, or like a big foul, and everybody's, you know, screaming their heads off or whatever. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like kind of like feel like you're immersed at the game.
Exactly. Because
I
those
think-
first round games, like they get loud, but like
Mhm.
sometimes their
Yeah.
first round, there's like a clear difference between how good you can hear the crowd at a first round game versus a finals game.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I think that would be up to NBA to like create like a standardized tech group to make sure all, because probably like ESPN versus TNT have their own sound crews and stuff, but if the NBA had their own like sound engineers, and like a consistent plan, it at least that would fix that problem, the inconsistencies of like no one wants to hear a quiet NBA game.
Yeah.
And that could just be the arena isn't set up to have crowd noise as loud as, you know, maybe LA or something, you know.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem impossible to do either. Like no ads, probably never going to do, but they could very well do this.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then I have one that's never, ever, ever, ever going to happen.
More than Vaughn's.
More than Vaughn. So there's a soccer league in America that just in 2028 is gonna implement promotion and relegation to combat against the MLS. The USL is finally gonna do it. The first time ever promotion and relegation is in a US sports league. I was just talking about how these bad teams get no punishment for tanking. Send the Wizards down to the G League, bro. Send the Wizards down to the G League. We need send them down.
I mean, we've talked about it in the past though. Like if we were to like add or change something in the NBA, you know, relegating teams, I really feel like it would benefit the league in general because like
Yeah,
nobody in their right mind wants to get relegated. You know, that's like little bro shit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like everyone, I feel like that would raise the level of play, maybe to a certain extent, maybe to a, you know, a maximum extent. But bro, relegation would be dope. Because then
Bro,
we'd see like the Metro 86ers or whatever they're called in the.
bro.
We just saw
Imagine
Wemby in the league before he got drafted, bro. Like, think
the
about
Maine Celtics are now in the NBA. The Santa Cruz Warriors. Like, this also the upset as well, bro. Like, I don't know. I just think that would be awesome. It will never happen.
that. Right.
But I will
No.
say I did on the podcast say how we need like an FA Cup style tournament, and we kind of got that with the in-season tournament.
Mm.
Although I said we should add G League teams into that. They were like, all right, here's our in-season tournament, but no G League teams. I just feel like, bro, the NBA and the G League need to do more stuff together. They kind of doing it this
Yeah.
weekend, but like, and with Mac McClung too, he's like the G League Superman.
Yeah.
He appears for the slam dunk contest, but like, we need more, bro. Like,
I will
This-
say, just real quick, I will say it. I found it kind of cool that we can see the rising stars who are also, some of those players in the G League.
Yeah.
They're given that platform. So I don't think we're too far off from your idea, but
bro.
it depends on how Adam Silver's thinking, bro.
Well, because like also like, bro, we have people like DeMarcus Cousins, Isaiah Thomas,
um,
Kemba. We have too many players who like they just disappear from the face of the earth.
Mm.
The main Celtics can fix that, bro.
it would force NBA owners of those teams to invest more because, we consider it like a developmental league, but even then there's like guys who've been in the G League forever and you kind of know they're not making an NBA roster, but they're just in that loop.
Oh yeah,
Or like Isaiah Thomas is on like the G League Utah team. Like you could, like you said, invest more in vets, people with more experience. And even as a developmental league, how many of those guys do end up crossing over to the NBA? I feel like it's a small percentage.
it's a
Mhm.
very small percentage.
It's more than we think, but yeah, it's not a lot.
Right. So
Um,
it's like you could have that balance. You're making it another NBA team, right? Like you want a mix of young guys, vets, and then of course like your stars. The problem is it's not like anyone knows the G League stars right now because the NBA doesn't care to like push it.
Yeah. It would be cool to see though the level of play between the NBA teams and the G League teams though. Like even though some of them may never touch an actual NBA court, what if we find another, I don't know, Dellavedova clamp up LeBron 3 times a year? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like obviously there are hidden gems in the G League, but just kind of, I don't know, just give him a platform, bro.
No, for real, bro. And like, yeah, like you said, we're getting more of it. Like the G League was in the Rising Stars tournament. They're doing the fill in the 4th spot for the big All Star tournament.
Mhm.
But like, bro, give me more, bro. Like, I want to know who a G like. There's teams in soccer leagues where like there's a guy out there who's like a championship League One D3 legend. Like he's a star in that league, and everyone knows who he is. Like I want to know who the G League LeBron is, because I'm sure
Right.
there is one. I'm sure there's someone in the G League who people are like, we just can't stop him. All right. Moving on, but before we get to our all-star topics, if you're listening on the podcast platforms, make sure you give us that good old 5 stars, leave a review. Let us know what the NBA can do to fix their viewership problem, or if you even think they have a viewership problem. Because I know some people think that it's not true, which is crazy to me because it's very obvious. If we're looking for that video format, we're on YouTube at Spin the Rocks. So make sure you like and subscribe there. We're on all social media platforms, so make sure you follow us for clips, episode updates, and all that good stuff. Now, our all-star topics are basically the same thing. But, of course, what would you do to fix the all-star weekend? Because it's definitely getting worse and worse. We're getting no stars in the dunk contest. We went from an all-star lineup of 3-point contest players to like Dame is the only star in the 3-point contest this year.
Which is
And he's-
not true.
And then we have the All-Star game where it's just like it's a snooze fest for the first 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter is a little bit better, but I think we're just convincing ourselves that the 4th quarter gets competitive at this point. So what would you do to fix the All-Star weekend, or if you think it needs fixing at all? Because I know. What do you guys think of the current weekend we have now?
Get rid of the skills challenge completely. Abolish it. Demolish
For sure.
it. Banish it. Never want to see that shit again. Never ever in my As long as I am alive, I never want to see that again, bro.
That's fair.
Never. I say add a street ball element to it. You know, we don't get.
Mhm.
They basically don't. I don't want to say they don't allow street ball play in the NBA, but it's. I don't even want to say it's looked down upon. It's just, I guess, the level of play that NBA players are at. They don't get to exemplify that.
Mhm.
So give them a chance. It could be invite only. It could be, however they send those invites out or whatever. Invite whoever you want, but give the players a chance to get more creative than they already are on the court.
Yeah.
And whether that's, we always hear, 1v1s or whatever, but just add some sort of street ball element to the All-Star game. I even think they could change the 3-point contest a little bit, but I'll see what y'all have first.
Like the street ball thing, I know people say 1v1 tournament. I would really like a 3v3 tournament style.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't have to be long too, like first to 11, win by 2 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something to shake it up, something to change the game around just a little bit, something like that. Or maybe like a NBA trick shot competition, but like the stakes is your fan will get like a free car or something if you win. Because it's now, I don't think they care about winning or losing $50,000, but now you put another person in position to win or lose something, and now it's different. You don't want to be the guy who lost your fan a chance at a new car or something.
Yeah.
Or even like a king of the court, it's still 1v1, first to 7 wins. Like just add some sort of like street ball. I feel like that would make it a lot more fun.
Mm. I like that idea. I think another thing they can do, and that they have done already, but I feel like did they even bring it back? Was that like Steph versus I already forgot her name, bro.
Oh, Sabrina? Nah, they didn't bring that back.
Bro, like
Thank God.
Oh, really? You did not like it?
Bro, I hated it, bro.
Bro, I'm pretty sure that was like the event that got the most views when they did it.
I was not a fan, bro.
Just probably because it was like the first year they ever did it.
True.
If they brought it back, I don't think it's as popular.
That is, yeah, I can see it how that could be the case.
And I'm not hating on the W. Like, we got some fire WNBA players, but I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, the peak viewership, 5.4 million viewers, but when Curry and Sabrina went against each other. So I feel like if they did like maybe like, bro, like, why aren't we using more get Caitlin Clark involved in our All-Star weekend, bro? Like, why aren't we doing that shit, bro? She's reviving like an entire league right now. Like, maybe have her against a young 3-point contest, like her versus, I don't know, anyone, to be honest. But I just feel like they could do more interconnection between the NBA and the WNBA, because I'm not saying, because some people view this as like, I'm not saying like Bam at the All-Star game, at the WNBA All-Star weekend. Like, no, bro, like have some collaboration between the two leagues. So I don't see like you can only benefit from that, to be honest, bro.
Yeah.
Even if it's small stuff like Steph versus Sabrina, or like the skills challenge, I do agree that can go, bro.
that's got to go ASAP. Nobody cares about that.
But like, yeah, I just think some more interconnectivity between those two leagues. And then another thing, the slam dunk contest. I do think what they're doing this year is kind of cool with the fans having a voice in it. I just hope they keep that around. But I also think like it's kind of dying, bro. The slam dunk contest is getting worse and worse every year.
Okay. okay, wait, hear me out. What if we don't get rid of the skills challenge, but we make it, I don't know, like 10 times harder? Because it's basic fundamentals is what they're doing. Like, we're not trying to watch that. It's a chest pass. They pick up the ball, get the ball, whatever, sprint down the court, layup, go back to the other side, shoot a three, run through the little shuttle thing, and then press the button, they're done. You know what I mean? Like, that's basic training. They do that every day.
Yeah.
So, like, if we make the skills challenge harder, like, do a behind the back pass in the hole, and then make a half court shot, and then, I don't know, like, make it 10 times harder. And then what if we get rid of the dunk contest for a street ball or, whatever street event contest that they want to put on? So that way fans realize how much they missed the dunk contest. They took it for granted. And then after X amount of years, they bring it back with some, who knows?
Matt
then,
McClung,
right?
70.
But at least hopefully some exciting players later down the line. That's just my idea when you were talking about that. I was like, what if we do that instead of getting rid of the skills challenge?
That could be something. Because yeah, you are right. The skill challenge is so easy, bro. Like, especially for the people they pick, like, everything, like, this is nothing for them. Like, you're not doing anything like that's challenging. It's not a challenge. It's literally a drill. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, if they're just going to keep doing it this way, you might as well throw them in, like, the mascot costumes just to make it a little harder. It's just, I don't understand how we can keep going on this way.
Right. Or what about even this, bro? So, like, the NFL, like, their Pro Bowl events or whatever, some of them obviously, deal with football, but other ones don't. Like, they play dodgeball, bro. What if we just play dodgeball? Like, bro, it doesn't even have to be basketball related, bro. Let me work for the NBA, bro.
I also do think that the placement of All-Star Weekend is so weird, bro. Like, why is it in the middle of the season? Because I do agree that, like, sometimes, like, players are clear. Like, the time that Giannis did a dunk and then sat out for the rest of the game. Like, the Pro Bowl at least is at the end of the season before playoffs. So maybe if it got, like, pushed further back, we could still have a break. Like, I'm not saying, like, don't give these guys a day off. But I'm just saying, like, maybe, like, at the end of the season, we then have the All-Star Weekend, and then guys are maybe more willing to play a little bit harder.
So, okay. So the thing with the Pro Bowl in the NFL, the players selected in the Pro Bowl, if they're going to the Super Bowl, they don't play in the Super Bowl. Or they don't play in the Pro Bowl. They just play in the Super Bowl. So you think that the NBA
should do the same?
That?
Yeah, bro. Exactly. Because, like, bro, that's the reason. Like, that's the reason why some of these guys don't go as hard, because they don't want to get injured in the middle of the season, especially when, like, majority of the All-Stars are older 90% of the time. Like, we don't get young All-Stars as much as we used to. So I feel like if we push it back, like, I'm gonna be honest, bro. LeBron doesn't, like, let's say the finals this year is, like, the Lakers versus the Thunder, or the Nuggets versus the Thunder.
You just named two Western Conference teams twice.
Oh, the Nuggets versus the Celtics is what I meant.
There you go.
Like, Jokic, LeBron, Luka, SGA, Tatum. Sometimes Jaylen Brown and Tatum do take it a little bit more seriously. But most of those guys are notoriously not taking that shit seriously at all.
Yeah.
So, like, even if we did, like, have them missing, it wouldn't hurt that much. Like, let's be honest. Or maybe you could have those guys be the coaches, because then that would be fun. If, like, let's say, like, last year it was Celtics, I already forgot last year's finals. Celtics Mavs. Like if it was like Luka and Kyrie as coaches, and then Tatum and Brown as coaches, and that's East versus West with those players as coaches, that would have been so much fun, bro. But at the same time, like none of those guys will be playing with no intensity because at least they don't have anything to play for. Like
So
they
I have a few follow-up questions. Where would you put it in the season?
probably the Pro Bowl is like what, a week before the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Probably a week before the finals then.
So
Probably like the Friday, like let's say if the NBA finals started on Saturday, June blah blah blah.
mhm.
I would probably have the All-Star weekend take place like the week before that. So as soon as the Eastern Conference Finals is done, have a bigger break between the finals and like the not a bigger break, but like have like a spot there where it's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday is All-Star break.
So like a week. So you're just giving them a week, or would you give them 2 weeks?
I would just give them a week, bro. Because I think last year there was like 6 days in between the conference finals and the first game of the finals.
Mhm.
So like give those first 3 days, let the players rest, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there's your All-Star break or All-Star game, I guess.
Yeah.
So like the normal All-Star break, would there still be a break, like a trade deadline break or something, or would
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
this season go? Oh, okay.
Because like we're one of the, besides MLB and AHL, like they have all breaks too, but like theirs is so much longer than ours.
Yeah.
And their trade deadline is also, I'm pretty sure, like like not during games and stuff like that. So it's like I feel like that would also get rid of the problem of players being traded during half times of games.
Mhm.
So I
So
don't
would
know.
you keep the trade deadline the same, but just give them a week or weekend,
yeah.
whatever, however long it is?
I would keep the trade deadline the same, but like, yeah, give them that break that you give them already. But instead of having them do All-Star games, 3-point contest, slam dunk contest, have that all at the end of the season. So that way people actually want to do it instead of being like Giannis or LeBron, where they like do one thing and then sit out the entire game.
Mhm.
Or
That can
Luka.
also help load management too. Like if you really think about it, that's
Yeah,
essentially like a mid-season break,
yeah,
trade
exactly.
deadline, where they're still resting, just not all-star, and then all-star for the people who either didn't make the playoffs or, are done with the playoffs.
Yeah,
So they can still
exactly.
have fun at the end of the season. So, hey, bro, NBA, bro, y'all gotta hire us.
That way they can actually rest too, bro.
Yeah.
But that's my idea. Push back the All-Star game. Like I'm gonna be honest, bro. All-Star weekend, most of these events are like filler.
Mhm.
Like, let's be honest, bro. Like how many like skill challenge? I think I've watched one skill challenge in my entire life as an NBA fan. I've never watched a celebrity game. Like I have never watched a celebrity game. You can so like just push all that back, bro, and then like let these players actually rest instead of okay, my game is over, but I gotta fly to Indiana for a week and do this game that I don't care about.
Mhm.
At this point, just combine all the events at once. Like if you're gonna force us to watch these things, it's like 1/4 dunk contest, 2/4 celebrity game, 3/4 3-point shootout, fourth quarter is like the actual like
That would
1/4
be
of basketball.
crazy.
I was about to say, yeah, that would be pretty wild. That would be pretty because that's also like an insane amount of rest for the all-stars themselves.
Yeah, 3/4 of you basically doing nothing.
I mean, that's how the game already is right now.
I guess that's very fair. Any other ideas to make it better? Or do you want to move on?
So I like the fan involvement in the dunk contest, but I wonder if they could do something more like a fan event. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know how that would take place though. Like, I don't think the NBA players are gonna agree to like play like a exhibition with fans or nothing. But they
No.
could do it for like a money pot. Um, just something.
Like be more interactive with the fans.
Yeah, anything really. If that's the direction we're gonna go with this, like dunk contest voting, might as well take it further.
That
But
would be
aside from
pretty.
that, I got nothing.
That'd be that I think that would help. That would probably help. Maybe I mean anything could help the dunk contest at this point, but some of these judges be trolling, hence Angel's background. But
Yeah.
or even, going back to the, Aaron Gordon and Levine dunk contest era. Like Aaron Gordon should have won at least one. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whichever one, you can decide, but he should have at least won one. And we all know how that story went. So I think dunk contest voting for fans, at least for the ones in the arena, would help tremendously.
Yeah, for sure. I just hope they keep it around, bro. 'Cause that's the NBA's problem. Like, this is such a cool idea,
Mhm.
having the fans be able to vote in the stadium. But like, let's say this year's dunk contest is garbage. They're gonna get rid of the idea instead of thinking on how to fix the dunk contest.
Hey, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, bro. I don't.
Yeah.
As long as they add something that adds value to the All-Star weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if we just see another skills challenge, nobody's gonna watch it.
Skills challenge too. Okay, moving on. We talked about how much we hate the All-Star weekend, but are you gonna be tuning in to any of the events this year?
I mean, I already watched the celebrity game, so I'm gonna try and watch the at least the 3-point contest later.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tune into the highlights. I don't think I'll be there live, to be honest.
I think I'm gonna watch the slam dunk contest tonight, or at least Saturday for the viewers, just so I can see the fan voting, because I think that's actually a really cool idea. And
Oh
then
wait, they're
like,
actually doing that?
oh yeah, they're actually doing it.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And then other than that, bro, I'm not watching the skills challenge. I never like the 3-point contest. I get why people like it, but I've never been interested in it. And then I probably won't tune in again until tomorrow for the All-Star game, just to see this new tournament that is clearly rigged. I hate that they drafted these teams, because literally it's so clear what the pattern was, and now they're like named like Shaq's OGs, Kenny's Young Stars. Like,
Yeah.
bro, come on.
I
Like,
defended them last episode too. I'm like, no, they just tell us, right? No, they tried to play it off. Like
they tried to play it
they
off
did this.
in the most obvious way, because Shaq's OGs, he was able to draft like LeBron, Luca, and like Curry all in a row, as if, let's be honest, if it wasn't rigged, he wouldn't be able to pull that off.
Right.
Like, let's be honest, bro. I do like, though, that they added the Rising Stars into it to fill up that 4th spot, because at least I know one team is going to be going all out. Those Rising Stars, they're going to give their all, bro. I know they are. Oh, at least I hope they are. Because that's the kind of stuff we need. Just like an underdog team who's like, low-key. Let's beat Shaq's OGs. That would go crazy, bro. If the Rising Stars beat Shaq's OGs.
Then they can beat anybody, low key.
Yeah.
See, that's the idea, but I'm afraid it just like turns into big bro versus little bro, and like they just lock in and erase them. But anything can happen. But I'm looking at Shaq's OGs. They don't have a center, do they?
I don't know, because a lot of people are injured.
I will say, while you guys look for that, I feel like they should have at least given them a chance to reach to win the tournament. You know what I mean? Instead of them playing them their first game, they should have at least, got Kenny's team or Chuck's team to at least play them, to at least kind of sort of give them a chance to actually get to and win the actual tournament. I feel like that would have been more fair.
Let's see. So Shaq's OGs, yeah, because 80's out. So I don't know who replaced him.
It was Kyrie, bro.
Yeah, Kyrie.
Oh,
So their big man is Kevin Durant or Jason Tatum. Zach
Oh,
Edey could
no.
eat. He could feast down low. They could pull
He's
it off.
got a chance.
That would be crazy. And then Trae Young is now an all-star. Yeah. Yeah, it would have been cool if it was Shaq's ODs versus Kenny's young stars. Or even
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
yeah, because then that way, like, it makes more sense of a matchup. I know what they're trying to do, though. They're definitely trying to have it be Shaq's OGs versus the young stars in the final. Like, that's definitely what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And in the most obvious way ever, just like the NBA, trying to hide something.
Bro, again, the marketing team is misfiring. They never should have set it up this way.
No,
what are
they
we
shouldn't
doing
have
here?
even done the draft that people immediately recognize what they were doing.
I'm like, in concept, it sounds cool, but actually executed, nah, bro.
Yeah, bro. Just say it's that. I think it would have been more hype if it was like
them playing. Like, I'm drafting this player. Like, why? What is the point? Like, you could just be like, okay, for my team, I have whoever. You know. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What is the lie for?
All right. Any last thoughts or ideas about either topic before we call it here?
The change that I had to 3-point contest. So, obviously we know that they've had the money ball forever and they have that 4-point spot or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for all my hoopers and 3-point shooters out there, that they could just completely revamp the 3-point contest. And there's this shooting game called Sevens. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but basically it's a 3-point shooting game. And you still have your, how many players they have? 8?
Something like that.
It's like 7 or 8, something like that. And you still have your pool of players, and then it's essentially king of the court, but 3-pointers. So first to 7 loses, last man standing. I think that could be pretty cool because it's an intense game as well. And with all the shooters, like all the shooters could be on the court. They could roam, shoot for wherever they want on the court. But yeah, I think that could be cool too.
I don't see a universe where that turns out worse than the skills contest. I say add it.
Well, I think that would just be a good idea in general. Add more like ballpark, like outdoor basketball court type games, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Street ball is the way to go
Yeah,
for all
I think
star,
bro. Yeah, like 21. Like, can you imagine like a celebrity 21?
Hard.
That would go crazy.
Even like knockout with NBA players, bro. The most random player could win. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, bro. Also, there's just moments in knockout that could be so like trolly. Like, can you imagine LeBron's goofy ass like bumping a ball away from someone? Like, he would never be in a knockout event. But like, it's just like events like those, making more like ballpark, like street ball-esque games in the All-Star event. So that way you could be like, wow, I never thought that Curry would be a knockout fraud. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So I like your idea, Eugene.
I keep coming back to the idea of a 1v1, but I think the consensus is that players are scared to get embarrassed in a 1v1 setting. True. So I think the NBA loves making things more complicated than they need to. So I think you have a teammate on the other side of the court. That teammate is shooting like spots on the court for points, and they redeem to affect the 1v1. So like you could give the opponent like shoes 2 times as big as they need it, or like some sort of blinders or anything to just mess with that 1v1 game. So then they have the excuse of, oh, I lost because my teammate didn't like help me in this scenario. Something to shed off. It needs to be an icebreaker to get us into a true 1v1, I think.
Yeah. All great ideas. Just anything, bro. I just feel like the All-Star Weekend should be more fun rather than like. I feel like it's just not as fun anymore, bro.
Yeah. It's going through the motions, and you can tell with the players.
Yeah.
It's like perfect example that I'm about to say, bro. All-Star break, at least at this current moment right now where we're at, is like a show with 10 seasons, and you can tell they just going off the rails with it. That's where we are right now in NBA history. Now, hopefully they can dial it back. But we'll see. I don't know.
Bro, it's bad when the Pro Bowl, which was considered the worst All-Star event in American sports, is now is considered better than the All-Star Weekend now, bro. That's crazy. We let the Pro Bowl take us over.
Right. It's the only kind of side note. The only thing about the Pro Bowl that's boring is that the same conference wins every year. So, but I like all the little side events and stuff. I watched the Pro Bowl events, so
yeah, bro. There should be no reason why the Pro Bowl is better than the NBA All-Star Weekend. I'm sorry. There should be no reason why that's the case. It's going to be really bad when NHL's All-Star Weekend is better than ours. That's when you need to that's when they need to go to an emergency meeting.
Right.
All right. If you're listening to our audio platform, make sure you give us a good old 5 stars, leave a review. Let us know what y'all will do to fix the All-Star Weekend, because it's just fun to hear these type of ideas. If you're looking for that video format, we're on YouTube, so make sure you like and subscribe. And we're also on all social media platforms at Spin the Rock. So make sure you follow us there for clips, episode updates, all that good stuff. Thank you for listening. See you again next week.